This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Oh, boy, we are back, and what a delight to have a big leaguer. He's humble, and he'll say now he's in the other body in the United States Senate, but no doubt he and his team watched with great interest, first time in 100 years, our Speaker of the House federally, Kevin McCarthy, ousted. U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan joins us. He's a guy that many Republicans in Alaska say, man, do you do anything wrong? Your votes are I love Lisa, but your votes, Dan, are spot on for me. I don't think I've ever disagreed with you, believe it or not. So welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Tom, great to be on the show. Always a pleasure. Thank you for that nice intro. And you're right. We are... To be honest, we're trying to make a little bit of heads or tails on what the heck's going on over in the House. I truly don't understand. You have 4% of the Republican conference over there joining with Democrats. Remember, they joined with Democrats.
Yep. Eight people. He's talking about 8 Republicans screwed basically the other mass of Republicans with the Democrats.
4% versus 96% of the House members. So. Look, I don't always understand what's going on over there. The House is essentially frozen. And, you know, McCarthy, remember, if it was his energy bill, his permitting bill, the oversight that we were starting to make happen with regard to the Biden administration on the weaponization of the Justice Department, all of that, I think, for now, essentially freezes. And so... we're keeping a close eye on it. You know, their names out there, 3 in particular, Jim Jordan, Tom Emmer, and Steve Scalise. I know the 3 of them well. I think either would be a good speaker. Scalise was very close with Don Young. When Don Young passed, you know, he called me saying, hey, Dan, we will keep an eye on any and all issues for Alaska.
Wow.
We will take care of it.
And he's the guy that got shot in the hip at that softball field, and he's the one going through chemo. So when Matt Gaetz was asked about him, Matt Gaetz, who did the coup, Matt said he didn't mention Jordan, but he mentioned Emmer and he mentioned Scalise. And not that people care directly about Matt Gaetz, but he won yesterday. But he said he would support Scalise if he wanted to run. And now we're reading he and Jordan are running, and then another guy, Hearn, out of Oklahoma. By the way, Emmer is from Chaska, right next door to My Pillow headquarters, Chanhassen. So,
and by the way, Emmer went to UAF for 4 years, played hockey. So I mean, he knows Alaska really well. I've talked to him. I mean, he knows all kinds of folks in our great state. So
I went to law school in Minnesota. My family's from there. I wouldn't mind a Minnesotan. You know, a lot of Alaska has Minnesota, Wisconsinian, Dakota roots. But
you're
we'll
totally
see.
right. And then Jordan's a good guy. I've worked with him on a bunch of judiciary stuff. He's kind of my go-to guy. You know, you have certain go-to guys, at least I do in the House, that I rely on to help move legislation. Jordan has always helped me. I like him a lot. So. But look, there's so much. I just hope these guys move forward on moving forward with a speaker soon, because here's the deal, Tom, is, you know, there is so much that we got to unite together as Republicans in the Senate and the House to go after the Biden administration. Let me give you one that I've been just pounding the table on, and it's the border. It's the border. Last month in September, 260,000 illegals, the highest number ever in 1 month. It is a wide open border. And when people say, well, Dan, why do you care? Alaska is 4,000 miles away from the southern border. I don't know if you saw this story. I put a bunch of social media out on it in the Courier-Journal. This is a reporter from Kentucky went up to Alaska, and the title of this article was really good. I can send it to you. Targeting the Last Frontier, Mexican cartels send drugs into Alaska, upping the death toll. It's detailed expose of how the most dangerous cartels, the Sinaloa cartel and others, are invading, guess what state? Our state, because of an open border, and literally killing Alaskans with this just, fentanyl in every small little village. And this is, literally, it's killing us. And it's a wide open border. Biden it's the biggest dereliction of duty you've ever seen in your life. Being able to secure your border it should be, priority number one for any country.
No, it's true. And Dan, we're talking with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan from here in Alaska. Our mutual friend, Grayson's mother, is former state senator Lisa McGuire, dear friend of both of us. She met with her boss from Strategies 360, headquartered in Washington State, big firm, kind of like what we do, but much bigger at Optum. And he was talking about that, and they talked with some Republican farmers on one of the islands. I forget where they were visiting, where his cabin was, but they said fentanyl's permeating all across Washington State with the cartels, and they're bringing in migrants to sell it and lowball. And we're like, what? Or I wasn't at the lunch, but I mean, they told me the story. It's just what you said about Alaska. People don't even realize. We hear about like the sex trafficking, and that gets a headline, but it's this under murmuring effort to infiltrate America, and it's because the borders are open. Very scary.
Wide open, and look, I love Lisa, and she's great. Wide open borders, and again, everybody's like, well, wait, why? Because I've been down there, right? I wanted to see it for myself. Midnight on the Rio Grande, watching these illegal immigrants coming over. By the way, the Rio Grande, we're Alaskans, so we think the Yukon, the Kuskokwim. The Rio Grande, I was kind of shocked. You can skip a rock across it, right?
Yeah,
you can walk across.
Some places it's really narrow.
It's more like a creek.
Yep.
And so, but we had the highest percentage increase in overdose deaths in 2021, and all of this is fentanyl with these Mexican cartels in Alaska invading our state.
Is it fair? You have children. I have children. My kid, was 17. Your kid's young. If people don't want to think about it or digest it, I beg you, and I know Senator Sullivan agrees, I beg you to, if you can't empathize, been there, done that with a loss, but sympathize if that was your kid or grandkid.
Yep.
You'd be ticked if it happened to your kid. Hey, little Jimmy's 16 out in Wasilla or Anchorage overdosed on fentanyl from some cartel distribution. You would be livid. Dan's trying to stop that from happening to your family.
Oh, my gosh. You would be livid. And look, this article, the first thing when I read it, your heart goes out to the Alaskans who have family members who were killed by the fentanyl, right? To your point, Tom, like, you got to have your heart going out to these people. It's mostly young people in our state. But you had the White House press secretary the other day remarkably say, well, the problem at the border is the fault of the Republicans in the Congress. I was like, what?
Makes it partisan. It's just nonsense. By the way, you're a colonel. Are you the highest ranking member of the military in the Senate?
Well, I'm the only one still serving. Right?
Okay,
I'm the only one still serving in the military.
Jeez. Can you believe that, folks? He's a husband, he's a dad. And then I don't know how you wear that many hats. You wear more hats than anyone I know. But what about the military at the border? Is that ever going to be an option?
Well, look, we've been sending the military to the border for years. After my first deployment as a Marine in the late 90s, I came back from a deployment to the Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific, and half of my battalion got, right when we got back, got sent to the border. So I didn't get sent to the border. I got sent to go fight fires in the Umatilla National Forest of Oregon, but that's a whole other story.
Sure.
But it's not.
That's not the resolution. It's laws and policies, right, and enforcement, not the military. And I agree with you.
Well, and when you have 260,000 people in 1 month That is literally the definition of an invasion, right? And yet Biden keeps it open. They're trying to put blame. I will tell you one final thing, Tom. Democrat senators in private come to me and say, this is a disaster.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, why don't you vote with me on, much
They just
more
won't
secure
stick to it
borders?
publicly. And we see mayors, New York City, Atlanta, other places.
Governor
Most
of New
big
York.
cities have Democrat mayors. Senator Sullivan, we always are recognizing you're busy. Thank you for your time. We'll get you back sooner than later, I hope, and keep up the good work. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom. Always great to be on the show. Keep up the great work.
U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan, you got to love him. Fighting the fight. Stay with us. Tom Anderson Show.